After the initial quake at 9 o'clock local time this morning, there were further tremors, and people started to leave their buildings, their homes, their offices, and come into the streets. Even in Milan, which is several 100 kilometers or so from the epicenter of today's quake, people were evacuating offices just as a precaution. In Bologna, which is obviously much nearer to the epicenter and was itself felt the early earthquake quite strongly, people poured out of their homes and workplaces into the streets. Today's earthquake was, in fact, similar in strength and depth below the surface to the earlier quake on May the 20th.
OK, Mark Duff, thanks very much. Joining me now is Clarissa Kilwick, who lives in San Vendimignano, which is about 50 kilometres north of Venice. Thanks very much for talking to us. You are quite far from the quake, but I gather you still felt it.
Yes, that's right. I think we're about 200 or 250 kilometres away, but because it was during daytime, I felt it quite strongly.
We're just seeing images of...
About 9 o'clock this morning, I was just sitting at my kitchen table. Now, being English, I'm not really used to this, but the table started shaking, and I wasn't sure what it was at first, but I was with an Italian man who he knew immediately, and he pointed up to the ceiling and the lights were swinging.
That must have been pretty alarming. Do you know anything more about the area that has been struck the hardest? We're seeing some pictures of buildings collapsing, and any sort of warning that this sort of area is vulnerable to earthquakes?
Well, I think, to be honest, I think most of Italy, we feel we are at risk. I know that an area only about 10 or 15 kilometres north of here, there is a fault where people quite often hear noises and tremors. So I think, most of Italy is at some risk. I suppose once I realised what it was, I guessed that the epicentre was once again from the same area as 10 days ago. But I think this is making people feel a lot more nervous because it's come so soon after the other one. And yes, I do know the area. Some of these towns, these beautiful historical towns like Modena, Ferrara, Bologna, and it's tragic to see these historical buildings just fall down.
I gather also on a much more personal and important note, you are worried about the safety of your son.